Welcome to the City Current Show. I'm your host, Jeremy Park. We're always honored to bring you inspiring stories of individuals and organizations making a difference and powering the good. And we always love having our good friend Mary Russell come on. She's the Chief Operating Officer of Personal Lines with Higginbotham. She's a wealth of information. Mary, how are you doing?
I'm great. How are you today, Jeremy?
Doing very well. You are a wealth of information, and we've had you on the show before sharing all sorts of recommendations and tips. And it's amazing how much you know, especially when it comes to personal lines insurance. But let's back up and give people some context. When you talk about Higginbotham overall, give us some perspective on Higginbotham.
Okay. Higginbotham's an independent insurance agency. Our home office is in Fort Worth, Texas. We've now got 64 offices across really the southeastern part of the United States. Lots of our partners in Tennessee, where you're from, Georgia, Louisiana, Alabama, Oklahoma, Colorado, Florida, California. So big picture, Higginbotham is this agency that is predominantly employee owned. So all of our employees benefit from being an employee owner, but they also operate as if they're the owner of this agency and taking care of their customers. So little bit about Higginbotham. I've personally been here 32 years, started out in claims. So I'm passionate about how these policies actually respond when there is a claim. So we sell you an insurance policy day one. Then when there's a claim, it's important that it's covered, or that you didn't know it wasn't going to be covered and there was no surprise come claim time. So I'm very passionate about making sure that we try to do the right thing and get the customer's claims paid when we have a claim happen, unfortunately.
Give us a few of the things. You've got property and casualty, so P&C, employee benefits, personal lines. There's a lot of other specializations. So give us some of the nuances for Higginbotham, and then we'll dive into personal lines pretty deep.
Okay. Nuances of Higginbotham. While we write all lines of insurance, we do bonds for contractors, they're commercial. We do life insurance for individuals. We also do life insurance for businesses where you need maybe some key man coverage. So a lot of the resources you'll find are additional products or services that help support the client, not only in their insurance needs, but maybe risk management needs. We offer what we call our day two services on both the employee benefits financial services side, as well as on the property casualty side. And what that does, day one, we sell you a policy. Day two, we want services to help support any of your needs till or if there is a claim. So on the benefits side, it could be helping do payroll for you if you're a firm and you want a PEO type option, but you don't want to be part of a PEO program. We can provide solutions for payroll, HR resource management, and provide services to employees, employee benefits, then workers' comp on that side. And so we can put the package together with multiple options where a PEO, you're plugged in with another group of similar type risks on the employee benefits side. Then on the P&C side, property casualty side, if you've got a claim, we've got a claims team of about 54 claims adjusters on staff. So while we don't personally adjust those claims, our insurance carrier partners do that. You've got an advocate here at the agency. It doesn't cost you anything. That's part of our day two service. So if there's a claim issue or problem, or you just want to run a question by us before reporting a claim, we've got a great team of resources to help with that as well. We also do loss control. So we go out and help assess your business or maybe your location. I was recently out in California, and there's this huge neighborhood that has done a lot to help mitigate and prevent wildfire issues, trying to help with some of their homeowners' insurance needs. And so we went out and did a full loss control assessment with photos, information on fire departments, response times, the mitigation resources they have in place to clean up some of that brush, so that we could go out to the markets and try to bring something for those homeowners that are just in dire need of some homeowners resources. So we go the gamut of either helping you put together an insurance program, or if there is a claim, we're going to help support you on that, whether it's property casualty or employee benefits. So I think that makes us unique. Some other agents do provide those resources. They usually charge for those resources. We feel like that's a benefit we need to have available for our clients to help them mitigate as much of their insurance exposure as they can.
One more question that I think is really important that will lead us into then personal lines. Share what it means to be a broker, because as you alluded to, we don't necessarily on the claims side, we're not the one that is necessarily adjusting it because that's on the carrier side, but we're helping to manage the process. And so talk about what it means to be a broker.
Yeah. So as an independent agent or broker, we work on behalf of the client. So our job is to gather all the information, whether it's your personal insurance, your business insurance, your employee benefits program, and then we go out to insurance carriers that work with independent agents. And those are the carriers you would recognize the names: Chubb, AIG, Hartford, Safeco, Travelers, Liberty Mutual, Cincinnati, Vault, Central, big carriers, and we go to them to see what's the best product and options for your personal risk. So I like to say we work for the client. We work in partnership with our insurance carriers to bring those great products to our clients. But our job is to focus on meeting the needs of what the client's exposure is, where they need to get it covered, or discuss options where they may want to self-insure some of that and not insure those exposures. So that's our role.
So personal lines, you think home and auto, but it's so much more than that. So when you describe personal lines insurance, how do you describe it?
I do start the basics. Anything you own personally in a personal name, home and auto, but that includes secondary homes, vacation homes. A lot of people are investing in rental properties, some long-term rental, some are short-term, your Airbnb type exposures. Motorhomes, motorcycles, watercraft, yachts. It could go the gamut from a bass fishing boat up to a yacht that sails to the Caribbean. So totally different exposures, but the opportunity to insure all of those needs depending on the client. One of the big areas, and I'll touch on it in a little bit, that I think is important and sometimes may be overlooked is a personal umbrella or excess liability coverage. And I really want to hone in on that today, just a little bit for people who may not know what it is. Your homeowner's policy has some liability coverage built in if someone slips and falls at your home, or your dog bites the mailman, or something like that. Your homeowner's policy has some coverages there for liability. Your auto policy has liability built in. So if you damage someone else's property, you hit their car, you hit their home, you hit their mailbox, or you injure them. If they're injured in an accident, well, then that's the auto liability. The same with watercraft, jet skis. We see a lot of claims there, motorcycles. And so that umbrella policy or excess liability is an extra layer of liability that sits on top of all of those that you own personally. Starts at $1 million coverage limit. So that sits right above the home, the auto, watercraft, etc., your toys. And it's an extra layer of liability. And what it does, it not only provides liability to pay for those injuries or damages, the big factor is it pays legal costs. It pays legal expenses to defend you, because sometimes you weren't responsible for that accident. You weren't negligent. And so you shouldn't be liable. That doesn't mean you won't be sued. And so today that's my let's talk umbrella coverage, but I want to start with sort of the state of the industry on personal insurance. Is that good?
Yeah, I mean, I think you've got the floor, so let's go ahead and give you the floor, because I was going to ask you, it leads into trends anyway, is why that's so important, but go ahead, take the floor.
Okay, thank you, Jeremy. So I was thinking, the hot topics right now for people worrying about their insurance, I thought really they're falling into the 5 C's. I don't know if C is a good letter right now, but if you're in California, you're having issues with insurance. You can get it. It's very expensive. I feel passionately for the consumers in California right now, what they're going through. One of the major carriers that wrote a lot of the insurance there on high value homes, etc., pulled out of the marketplace. And in the last year, they've been non-renewing everything in a market that's already limited on capacity to offer homeowners to other people. So the costs have skyrocketed, as you can imagine. The next is coastal. If you're living, we're Texas, there's Florida. Guess what just happened a week ago? We've got hurricane activity going on. While we had gone by pretty quiet already this year, we had a big one hit in Florida last week. And so I tell people coastal are having issues. In Florida, we also have some other issues going on with the way claims are handled and contractors taking over the handling of your insurance claim with your insurance carrier, which has skyrocketed the costs of repairs. So you have a number of carriers that have significant loss ratios. You have a number of carriers already this year. I believe there's 7 that have either gone insolvent or their financial rating has decreased. And most mortgage companies will not accept those carriers as insuring your home. That's a significant problem. And oh, by the way, there's not a bunch of people in line in Florida lining up to come in and take that capacity either. So you got coastal, you got California, you got Colorado. Colorado's not coastal, but what Colorado has had, as you all know, is the wildfire issues. We've had those as well in California. We have them in Texas. But the concern in Colorado now, there's the focus. So you've got people limiting capacity in Colorado. They're getting a lot stricter on the underwriting guidelines, much like they did in California, in making sure the brush is cleared from the home so many feet, making sure that the brush that you do have is not a high wildfire type tree or branch that's going to cause more fire damage or embers to fly up in your eaves in your home and cause damage there. So Colorado's an issue as well. Same thing with capacity. Carriers are limiting their capacity. They're not putting a lot in Colorado. The other is people, if you've had claims, if you have frequent claims, so you think of, well, my policy provides windshield coverage and maybe I don't have a deductible on that. So I'll just turn in this windshield claim, get it replaced. Towing claims. Those aren't big dollar claims, but they show a frequency issue. So I tell people, let's, in this time of personal insurance, let's make sure we're treating our insurance as a risk management tool and saving it for what we need it for. We can self-manage replacing a windshield. We can self-manage towing our vehicle. Because what we don't want to happen is come renewal time and we've had 4 or 5 claims and 4 of those are towing or windshield, and maybe 1 was an accident. And so now your insurance is either going to increase cost-wise or it's going to be canceled. And then you're going to look for other insurance with that claims history, which causes the increase again. So I tell people, let's look at our policies as more of a insurance contract and not a home warranty maintenance type contract. We're in that type of world right now where the capacity on insurance is getting very tight, especially in those C's I've talked about again. And then there's something else that maybe people don't know. Most states allow the insurance carriers to utilize an insurance score, and part of that insurance score is your credit. And people may not realize how important a good credit score is to your insurance rates. I'll give you an example of one we did here in Fort Worth, so not even coastal, here in Fort Worth. Nice home, 4 autos, 1 watercraft, no youthfuls on the policy, just adults now, and actually reran their credit score at renewal. It saved them $4,000 on their premium. They stayed with the same insurance carrier. We didn't have to move them. But their insurance score had improved over the last 5-6 years when we had placed them with this carrier. And at that time, they were buying the home. They had bought some new vehicles. They had done some things, not negative, but that affect the insurance score. So I tell people, that's a huge number. And not everybody saves $4,000, but that does impact the cost of your insurance. So when you're looking at your insurance renewal, you may want to have your agent, if you've been with a carrier for a long time, whether it's one of our independent agent carriers, or even if you're with a direct writer. And when I say a direct writer, a State Farm, a Farmers, an Allstate, etc., they all use an insurance score. So check your insurance score. If you know that it's improved, if you've made some intentional efforts, and a lot of people are over the last few years of cleaning up that credit, if that credit's improved, ask your agent to rerun your insurance using your current score and see if it improves for you. And then if it does, have them apply that to your policy. If it doesn't improve it, don't have them touch your policy. Leave it as it is. But that would be my tip for you is focus on that, not only personally, but your insurance score, credit score affects so many more things that you may not be aware of, other than just going and applying for a loan. It's heavily embedded into insurance rates in those states where it's legal to do so. So I was looking at that going, those are all C's: credit score, claims, coastal, Colorado, California. What? But if you just think of some of those things are really difficult this year because of what's happening, catastrophes in all of those areas. Oh, there was another C. So anyway, those are my tips on some things that are going on. We are watching with reinsurers who typically back up. They're sort of excess insurance for the insurance companies. And those reinsurers are Florida, California, Colorado. They're not getting a bunch of people to come in and backfill those that have left. So I really want to just stress the importance during this time of paying attention to your insurance. Don't let it cancel. There's another C. And let's kind of use a little caution. There's another C. Let's use a little caution this year on just filing claims just because we've got insurance. Let's save them for more of those catastrophic issues when we really need them. So that's sort of the state of what's going on. And that's also the areas and things that you should or could pay attention to.
This is why I love having you come on, and you have like a whole presentation now, with all the C's. But I think it really is important, like you're talking about, understanding what's going on, the trends, the recommendations, just like you're giving, extremely helpful. But also too, when you think about the coastal areas, that's where so many have vacation homes. When you talk about Colorado, that's where people love to have vacation homes. So all of these things have an impact much more beyond than just those who are, have their permanent residency there. It's all those who are in Tennessee that do have coastal vacation homes too. So these are all things that are extremely top of mind for everyone all over. And so carry that back to the umbrella, the excess liability, and the trend of what you're seeing there, why that's so important with these lawsuits and judgments and things that are going on.
Oh, I tell you. So I've sort of laid the groundwork with all the C's. I'm doing a paper currently. This country has become very active in litigation. There are parts of the country that attorneys know you don't want to have a lawsuit filed in because the verdicts that come out of there are just unrealistic. My background in claims is if you damage or hurt someone, we need to make them whole. We need to fix it. We need to make it right. Accidents happen. That's why we carry insurance. What has gotten out of hand, in my opinion, is some of this litigation where we're going to find somebody or something to blame, and not just blame and get paid, but to punish them, punitive type damages. We're seeing viral judgments and verdicts coming out of areas that are just unheard of before. And I bring this up because I'm talking to clients, and I think everybody should take a look at, if I was sued, if I had an accident, and it was just an accident, but if a jury thought I was just above normal negligence, and they wanted to hit me with punitive damages, the sky's the limit. The jury can decide what those damages should be. So multi-million-dollar verdicts for people. I'll tell you, I'll give you a claim situation. I usually do. So have a client in Colorado had a dispute with the neighbor over some landscape retaining wall, filed suit. The neighbor countered and alleged harassment because the insured was doing this. Went to trial. I'm not going to go into all the specifics. The neighbor got a $10 million win on that judgment, our insured had not reported the claim because he thought this was just a small dispute. He was handling it with his local attorney. Totally not prepared for that kind of verdict to come out of a jury. He went, how did this happen? So then scrambling, of course, you're going to appeal that, or normally you would appeal a verdict like that. But the shock to the client of this is just a neighbor dispute over plants and landscape and things that they had used that went viral. The impact that does on this person, their financial, mental. Can you imagine having that type of burden of that judgment on your shoulders, even while you're waiting to appeal? So I tell people, if you don't have a personal umbrella, and I'll take you back to where I started on this. Remember, personal umbrella or excess liability sits on top of the homeowner's liability, sits on top of the auto liability, sits on top of watercraft, motorhome, jet skis. If you don't have an umbrella layer, have your agent quote you one for $1 million, usually the minimum for an umbrella. If you have a home and 2 autos, no terrible driving records, no extenuating circumstances, you're talking a couple $100 a year for $1 million coverage. And remember, what that's going to bring you is not only coverage to pay the damages and injuries, it's also going to provide defense costs. A lot of times, $1 million now on a claim like this would just erode with defense costs. So I tell people, and if you've got $1 million umbrella and you've had it for years, the other thing I'd tell you to do is assess your assets. I talk to clients and I look at, you've got this home value, you've got the secondary home value, you've got these vehicles. I see just some real property assets of this amount, and your umbrella is $1 million. I don't even know what your cash or your other investment tools or assets are that may be an issue if there's a viral judgment that you would have to cash out or have to try to get access to pay a judgment. So you will know those things. Look and say, what truly is my net worth, and what limit should I carry to go, if there was a bad claim, I would much rather have that insurance policy providing my defense and providing the coverage for that, as opposed to me having to cash out some investments, et cetera, that I worked very hard to do. I'll tell you, there's carriers that go from $1 million. The difference from $1 million umbrella to either a $3 million or $5 million is typically a couple $100. And I'll put this to you. I told an attorney this one time. He said, "I'm an attorney. I don't need an umbrella. I can defend myself." I said, "True, but for the cost of an umbrella, you have 2 youthful drivers, you have a swimming pool at your home. For the cost of an umbrella, I think his was going to be $400 a year for $1 million. Your hourly rate as an attorney is more than $400. Would you not rather have, that's 1 hour of consulting. You're going to spend more than that to defend something." He went, "You know what? No one ever put it to me that way." But seriously, consider the hourly rate of an attorney to defend you and the number of hours. A retainer is going to cost you typically at least $2,500 on a minor claim. So how much of an umbrella could I get for that, and let that umbrella go forward and provide defense and claim costs to take care of it, so I can sleep at night and I'm not having to worry about my assets being in jeopardy. So I'm a huge fan right now of reviewing everybody's umbrella limits. Get your liability limits in order. It's pennies on the dollar with the coverage that you're getting for it. And in this day and age, every day there's a headline about these viral verdicts and judgments. And it's big business for attorneys going after those types of litigation. It's one of the issues in Florida that they're having. Not only are they coastal, we talked about, but getting carriers to pay claims and stay solvent. The litigation has gotten out of control in Florida on roof claims. So that's my big message for everybody. Nothing's less important, but this one's very important. And for a couple of $100 a year, I think everybody ought to take a good look at an umbrella liability policy, both on the personal side, as well as if you've got a business. I hope you do that as well. $1 million, $2 million limits on your business policy now, is that adequate? And what would an umbrella cost me to look at that?
Yeah, it's so extremely helpful. And that's why we love obviously having you come on, is sharing this sort of insight. Give me one more kind of small bit on cyber risk management, because that's another one. You hear that on the business side, but it really is important on the personal side too. So Give us a little bit of that world.
Yep. And the cyber insurance world as well. There's another C, Jeremy. Did you realize that? Cyber, that insurance marketplace is tightening up as well. The capacity for that is limiting. The reason for that, a lot of claims. Again, daily you're reading about hacks, breaches that are happening not only at businesses, but individual accounts. People will, these hackers are very creative and very smart, and they will monitor your workflows. They'll also monitor you personally in your personal systems. So I tell people, be very cognizant about the security of your home computer, your home devices, to make sure that you're in a secure network, a secure environment. Passwords, just like in business, your passwords, changing those, having those to be a little bit more difficult of a password, instead of password being your password, is very, very important. We're having people's bank accounts accessed. We're having credit cards. And if any of you all have had that, you've used a card somewhere, swiped it at a restaurant or a gas station, and then the next thing you see on your card is some charges. So it's happening not only with a physical card with banks, but it's happening with your online information. That information is getting out there. People, there have been record numbers of unemployment claims filed for people that aren't even filing it. Or you've heard of cases of people filing for taxes for someone. If they want to do my taxes, they can. If they want to pay them, I'd be even more grateful. So I tell people, your personal security information, the stronger you can lock it down. This year, rented a home for vacation, and we had a situation with the client that had done that, and someone had ghosted the email from the person that they were renting this home from, this beach home. And when they went to make the payment, or when they showed up for the vacation, the payment had not been received. And they said, well, we sent it to you. Well, someone had ghosted and given them a different bank account to send it to. And the customer didn't pick up the phone and call to verify that this was a legitimate email. And they wired the funds to a bank account that no longer exists, didn't recover the money. And there they are with the family at vacation, and there's no beach home. So something like that, just we haven't heard of for years. People having real estate transactions, selling their home. They didn't get the money when the bank closed on the home. Well, the financial institution actually recovered the monies for the homeowner, but they were sitting there a couple of weeks trying to work through the claims process, waiting on the money from the sale of their home because it had been rerouted to another person in a fraudulent bank account. So these things on a personal level that we had not heard of going on for years, they're getting more and more creative. And the breaches are getting more and more serious and more costly. So, and you're a target. It doesn't matter how much or how little you make. It's how much like a burglar. It's how easy you make it for them to be able to access your data, and then they can find a way to try to manipulate it. So cybersecurity is another huge area this year. And that's something where you just take a look. If you need to, hire an expert to help. Some of the insurance carriers offer cyber coverage on the personal side as well as the commercial. Look at that cyber coverage. You're talking probably $300 a year. What that provides is some coverage and protection if it happens. And importantly, 24/7 assistance. So you could immediately, if something happens, get a hold of someone and not wait till they open on Monday. Time is critical when you have a cyber event. And the other thing that it does that I like is it sends you notices and information of certain issues that are out there, certain known issues that they're seeing hackers. And if it's on maybe a piece of equipment that you run your computer on, maybe it's a certain type hard drive you're using, maybe it's a software you're using. I mean, we're reading now on some of our mobile devices, use caution on your mobile devices, as secure as we thought those were. Bringing in a lot of software and a lot of tools, which are great for the computer, also opens up your exposure for cyber. The other thing that you want to look at too is just some caution. We've got young people living on the internet, utilizing these tools for social media. And so some of the information that they give out totally innocently because they don't know is getting out there. Some of your information, some about those young children, and maybe not so nice people getting their information, knowing where they go to school, knowing what their hobbies are, and befriending them like they're their best friend on the internet to see what tools they can get. I had one where somebody had befriended their friend or their son as a friend, and the son kept needing money for this online, to purchase this online. And the parents said, what are you doing with all of this? Well, my friend doesn't have money and their parents won't give it to them, so I'm buying it for them. Here's a child, there's another C word. Here's a child who's online playing games and buying access for other people because they supposedly don't have access to it. So it's getting critical on cyber. Pay attention to it. The experts in cyber, it's interesting. I was talking to the head of one of the security firms, and he said, I don't allow my kids on social media. And he heads up, he deals with it every day, as you can imagine. And he said, my kids will not be on social media, too much of an exposure. So anyway, there's another C. Today is your lesson in C's. So anyway, top buttons to look at. Cyber can sweep your bank account, and hopefully you can recover. Hopefully it's not massive and significant. Hopefully there's some bank funds available to reimburse you if or when that happens, much like your umbrella liability, folks. Let's just take a hard look at what we've got available to us to be able to take care of us in the event of a significant claim or financial loss.
Yeah, so important. And just like we alluded to on the front end, this is all about protecting you and your valuable resources. So, Mary, go ahead and wrap up with where we can go to carry these conversations forward, to learn more, connect in with you and the team.
Yeah, thank you. So we're higginbotham.net, higginbotham.net. I'm Mary Russell. Please feel free. We've got Twitter, we've got Facebook, we're on social media. There's also just the good old email if you want to reach out that as well. So I'm happy to help answer questions. I'm happy to help with anything that may come up that you go, I wish I'd have asked that, or I wish I knew that. So thank you for reaching out again. I know I'm one of those crazy passionate people about personal insurance, but I see how it helps when something catastrophic happens. So thank you for your time and listening.
Well, Mary, thank you for all you and your amazing team do. Thank you for coming on the show.
Thanks, Jeremy. Stay well.